count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast blood.
What's up, gang? Welcome to the G.R.I.N.D. Simon Arias here. Get ready, it's a new day. What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of the G.R.I.N.D. Get ready, it's a new day. And I got my friend Melanie, my neighbor, Melanie Mitro.
Melanie, what's
and
up?
of course, we got Big Perm in the house.
How y'all doing today?
With the throwback Snoop Dogg
Let's go.
T-shirt, one of my favorites when I was a kid. Shouldn't have been listening to that. I knew every word to that. I played it 100 times over and over again. I think that's when I learned to memorize scripts and presentations. You know what I mean? Doing stuff like that. But we are in for a huge treat. Yep. I have my neighbor, like I said, Melanie, in the house, and she is one of Beachbody's top coaches internationally. She has way more followers than I do. She is a black belt in social media. And for years, you know, people were trying to tell me I need to meet you and I need to, and I'm like, you know what? She lives right around the corner. And that's one of the positive things that happened to me during quarantine is starting to develop a relationship with Melanie, who I've started to learn from and have a relationship with, and we're getting ready to do dinner with Matt, the Matt and Nat show. Yep. Her husband's Matt and Nat, and but I'm just excited to expose Melanie to all of our listeners and a lot of entrepreneurs on here, and Melanie has built her deal from the ground up. She has also Chic Influencer, a consulting company that's doing real well, and I know she has a lot of value to add. She's a wife, she's a mom. Two things I am not. So she's able to add some value and views that I'll probably never be able to bring you, and Perm definitely will never be able to bring you. So, Melanie, why don't you start out with letting us know a little bit about who you are, you know, kind of where you came from, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the warm introduction. I appreciate that. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, actually about east of Pittsburgh. So I went to Penn Trafford High School is this area that I'm from, and I ended up here in the Cranberry area after I met Matt, my husband. So we sort of settled in this area. So I actually went to school and got an undergraduate degree in psychology. I have a master's degree in special education, and I worked full-time as the director of early intervention. So I did birth to 3 developmental therapy for kids. Until we decided to have a family, and Matt and I really talked about our family plan, and I was pretty adamant that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom. That was my entire goal.
Was the vision.
That was the vision.
Okay.
I went to school. I got an education for the sole reason that I needed a backup plan, just in case I ever needed to fall back on it. But I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And so we scrimped, we saved, we put everything we could into our savings so that I could leave my job. And so after having our second little boy, we turned in the resignation. We kind of went all in, and we had maybe $100 left in the bank account after the bills were paid at the end of the month. So it was like we were just barely getting by.
Faith.
Yes,
a lot of
absolutely. And Matt was working really hard to climb the corporate ladder at his job. He was working at G.R.I.N.D, and he was on the procurement team at that point. So he was climbing up through his career. And about 6 months into being a stay-at-home mom, I realized that this really wasn't cut out for me. You know, it was, and I didn't know that. I had planned my entire life around being a stay-at-home mom, and it wasn't until I was in it that I really began to say, is this what it's really like? So for those of you women that are listening, you scroll Pinterest, you look at Instagram, you see these moms with these babies and these perfect lives, and that wasn't what it was. We were really kind of struggling. And so number one, was about 30 pounds away from where I was before having kids. So I was trying to find myself in my own weight loss journey to lose the weight. And I had made a post on Facebook about eating celery and trying to lose weight. And that was the connector. So a girl that my husband and her husband are really good friends from high school, she reached out to me and said, hey, I can help you. And so that was really my first experience with Beachbody. And
she was with Beachbody?
She was.
Okay.
So she was a coach. And so she got me involved in Beachbody from the fitness side of it. And so before I responded to her message, because we didn't know each other very well, I went over to her page and just kind of creeped on who she was, She had 2 kids. Her before photo was where I was at in that moment. Her after photo was exactly where I wanted to be. And the more I read her story and how positive and inspiring she was, I just said yes without even thinking. Signed up, became a customer, lost over 30 pounds. And then I just found myself naturally telling other people what worked. And that was really when I started to kind of get into the direct sales business. So she invited me and I signed up 3 months later. And the very first team call that our organization hosted, it was the rewards, the recognition. It was this person was able to take their family on vacation because of this business. This person was able to buy, a house, their dream house because of the business. And it was like a light bulb turned on for me. And I thought, I can do this too. And so that was really kind of this turning point of I had no idea what I was doing, no idea what direct sales was, had no idea how to run a business or grow or scale it on social. And I was just like, tell me more, tell me how I can do it. And that was really kind of where my business started.
So what do you think from there? A lot of people start in that same mode. Never had no experience doing this.
Right.
Don't know exactly how to scale it from there. What was the difference maker? What do you think now that you've been in it 10 years?
Yeah. 9 years. 9 years.
Yeah. What do you think was the difference maker for you versus, other people that don't make it? Because what people see is Melanie, you before I met you, your house at the end of, you go at the end of my street, you make a left, and it's the first house that you see driving down the street. And I'm like, man, that's a really pretty house. I like the light brick. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonder who lives there. It looks really nice. And so to see the life that you and your husband have built, with your kids and all the outside stuff, it's easy to say, man, I want that. And I wish I had that. But what are some of the things that, maybe you think, well, you know what, this is now being in this a while. I see when I reverse engineer this, here's why I think I did well over time. And here's why I think some people don't end up where I'm at.
Yeah. Right from day one, the minute I knew that I wanted to go for the goals that I had in my heart, I treated it like a business. So, it's a commission based, it's team built, and I can give myself a raise based on my work ethic. And so I recognized that right away. So I got myself organized, stay at home mom. I had a flip phone, so I didn't even have Wi-Fi at that time, And so I pulled out the computer, and I got myself organized. I got a calendar, a planner, started a binder. I mean, I treated it like a business from day one. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a hobby. And there was no plan B. There was no other option. I was going to change my life.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Right there. I think just, seeing that there's no plan B is such, I think so many people come into these type of businesses and they're like, all right, I'm going to try it out for a couple months, see how it goes. Yep. And I always tell people, this business, you don't try it out, it's going to try you out.
Right.
And so when you make the decision mentally, it's just like getting married. It's like we're going to try out this marriage thing and see how it goes. That's not going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It has to be. I'm prepared for whatever. Yeah. Because you're not going to try that out. It's going to try you out. And so I think making that mental decision is the first thing that sticks out to me of you saying I had no plan B. Right. So I organized myself, but then I started to go all in with no plan B.
And, I listened from the get-go. Personal development was a big part of our business model. So right from the get-go, Jim Rohn was somebody that I was listening to, Eric Worre. There were a lot of people at the beginning, and it was always that, if you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you have to go. It's that 100%, no matter what. Give it a year, and for me, it wasn't just give it a year. It was, you're going to figure it out. You're going to fail your way forward. Also, I will say that I made sacrifices. There is absolutely no way that you can build a business like this without making sacrifices. Because at the beginning, and I understood because I listened to what other people said to me. At the beginning, you're going to work really hard for a little bit of money. You're going to work incredibly hard for those first sales. And I made $30 in my first month. So, I mean, I was hustling, at the beginning. And so I was getting up early, So I was getting up before my kids got up, which is not something I did before. So 4:50 in the morning, that alarm would go off. Instead of, hitting snooze or scrolling my phone, I was getting to work.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to grab these important points that I'm hearing that I think now it comes natural to you and me. Yeah. But it's not natural to sometimes people that are in that moment. So what I'm hearing that stands out to me is you were saying as you were starting in your first month.
Yeah.
And you're putting in a lot of work.
Yeah.
But $30.
Right.
For the first month.
Yeah.
I think there's a group of people that quit and give up on their dreams the moment that I've put in all this work and I didn't get immediately compensated for it. Because when you get into entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of, you'll see these quotes out there that say entrepreneurship is, living a few years like, people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. And it's like, as soon as people are hit with those moments of, most people expect a direct return right now. So I give you $5, I expect $5 worth of value, back right now. I put in X amount of time, I expect X amount of dollars back right now. And that's really not the way that true success works, whether it's basketball, boxing, or business. It's more upfront hard work and hustle. Sure. And I'm going to give you I'll give you the results down the road if you continue to put this type of work in. So I'm hearing you say that, and there's probably a group of people that start out in their first month in your business or second month, and they're like, all right, I gave it everything I had. I didn't get the immediate gratification right now. Can't see past 12 months from today, so I'm done.
Right.
And then the next thing I hear you start talking about is those sacrifices and getting up early, getting up before, the children. And before that, you talked about I started listening to Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Those things are small things that we speed through here that we could probably talk for an hour on. I think if you don't control the narrative in your mind in the beginning of, all right, I'm going to listen to these other successful people telling me, you go all in and those type of things. And then getting up early in the morning before the kids. So sorry to stop you there, but I think those are key points.
Yeah, they are. And I just didn't, so The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson was another book. And I didn't just read, but I applied. So, and I think sometimes we just read books because we're told we should read and we should listen. But when they said even in The Slight Edge, it's you are the sum of your efforts repeated over time. And so it's easy to do the activities of building this kind of a business, but it's also equally easy not to. And so you have that graph of either you're trending upward or you're staying flat or you're dying, you're going downward. And so I'd think about that. It's me showing up every day. It is pressing play on my workouts. It is the invites that I send consistently. It's a social media that's consistent. It's not that one day, I just had the viral post or the perfect message. I was building this trust and credibility over time, and people were seeing me walk the walk and talk the talk. And so that built things up, And so, so the sacrifices, my alarm would go off half the time. The boys weren't sleeping through the night. And I had this mantra that I would repeat as I'd put my feet on the floor. I would say, I'm up, I'm up, I'm up. And as I would walk to the kitchen, I would say, I'm willing to do what other people are not willing to do so I can have what other people wish they could have.
Come on. And you're living it right now.
Yeah. And so it was hard. I mean, there were mornings where I was like, oh, God, you can do this, jolt myself out of bed. And so I would work as fast as I could go, always from a list, always very intentional. And then it was nap time. I'd get the boys down for a nap and I'd go back to the computer. They'd go to bed at night. I'd go to the computer.
No wasted time.
No, it was very intentional. And then the weekends, I've said this in speeches before, Saturday and Sunday morning, Matt would be home from work because he was gone. He was gone from 6 a.m. to sometimes 6 p.m. or traveled. So it was just me a lot during the week. And so the weekends, he would get the kids up. I'd get up at 5 on Saturday and Sunday. And so I would work 5 to 9. So if you add that up, those hours, those 3 to 4 hours times 2 weekends, times 52 weeks. That was my slight edge in my business, right? That was me getting ahead of the
400 extra hours a year.
Yep. Yeah. So that was me getting ahead of the people that were like, I need to
people
sleep
want
in.
it.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then you hear, weekends, 4 hours on the weekend, 5 to 9.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that people understand 9 to 5, not 5 to 9.
I know.
That's where the money's at. That's where you really start to make a difference is in that 5 to 9. So we worked weekends.
Yeah.
In the
I did.
mornings, grinding it out.
Yep, because I had to be mom during the day, during the week. I mean, I was willing, that was the sacrifice that I chose. I will be honest with you, I didn't watch TV for many years, just because I would rather have read personal development or watched the webinars and the trainings and learn. And so that's just where I was at that point. And I had a big vision. I didn't want a small business. I wanted to completely change our lifestyle. And at that point, when I started, we lived in a 3-bedroom townhouse, and my office was a desk that, like, the one leg was broken. I think I had a pole that was kind of holding it up, and I was hanging out with the cobwebs. It was like a storage room behind our garage was where I worked. And I had my vision board that was a piece of poster board and pictures cut out from a magazine of what I wanted: single family home, backyard for the kids to play, swing set, for the boys, fence for the dog. Wanted to pay off our student loans. And so I would look at that every morning and say, I'm making these sacrifices now so I can have those freedoms later.
And now I'm sure you had to have doubters or, people that doubted you in the beginning of, okay, so you got a master's degree. Yeah. You got a psychology degree. Yeah. And you're doing what?
Yeah.
Network marketing. Yeah. Network marketing. Yeah. You made $30. Yep. You could have made that at McDonald's. You didn't need a master's degree for that. So I'm sure you had to hear some of that along the road. How did you kind of drown out the doubt that others would have in you, or maybe even crept into your own mind at some times, and control that narrative?
So my biggest doubter was my husband. So Matt was actually the worst, right? Yeah. And so that was about 18 months of him going out of his way to make it difficult for me to work. Oh. So he was not supportive whatsoever. He actually said, when I signed up to do the business, he said, if you want a job, we'll put the kids in daycare and you can get a real job. Yeah. And so that was the comment. And so it was just, he didn't understand. It wasn't that he was trying to be a jerk, but I had to prove myself. And so I had to, even the people closest to me that love me the most, I had to be able to say, if I want their support, I need to prove myself. Mm-hmm. For Matt, I had to show him the money. So if I was going to work, I had to produce the income. So I was very focused on what were the income producing activities versus the time wasters or the things that were safe and easy to do. So I knew that it was literally, I just had to prove my worth, prove my heart, prove that I wasn't going to quit. Had to drown out. I really put a lot of distance. And sadly, some of those people were family members at first. I had to really put some space because they were really negative. And the more that I was investing in my own personal growth and mindset, the more I realized it was toxic. So I didn't say anything. I just distanced. I started to really surround myself with a different community that sort of was lifting me up and encouraging me to do more with my life. And so that was hard because that meant a lot of my friendships and dynamics changed. Mm-hmm. But I mean,
so crazy. Right before I met with you, I had a lunch with the dog check camp. One of my guys had a lunch, and he wanted me to come and talk to some of his people. And one of the last things that we talked about was separating yourself, from people that are bringing negativity, to you. And some of those times it's friends. A lot of times it's family. And I've been through the same experience. And he and I grew up. Giovanni Perm, and he'll tell you I distance myself. I distance myself from a lot of people, from most people, and you wouldn't see me as often, and it's hard. It's hard to understand, and it's even hard to do when it's people that you like. It's people that you care about, and then you value those opinions. But that whole saying, if you hang around 4 millionaires, you're going to be the fifth. If you hang around 4 drug addicts, you're going to be the fifth. Whatever. Yeah. You got to get into that environment. Even a friend of mine he's pursuing a career as a professional fighter. He's 24 years old. He's heard some of the same things. It's stupid. Why don't you get a real job? Blah, blah, blah. And he moved to Florida and he lives in a dorm with other men pursuing this dream. Okay. And not around his friends, not around people cutting hair, not around people that are, sweeping or cutting grass. Like, I'm around 24/7 world-class fighters in order to pursue that life. And I think mentally what you're saying is a lot of what I was saying to them is if you're pursuing a dream or a major goal, it's going to help you to cut out. You're going to have enough negativity come your way from failures because success is moving from failure to failure without losing motivation.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have enough failures. You're going to have enough letdown. You're going to have enough mental stuff that you got to go through rather than entertaining the negativity. But then it's getting around a community, like you said, getting around. And then, I've heard, I don't know about you, but I've heard people say things like, it's like a cult, you just brainwash people, and I always say, cult is short for culture.
Yeah.
And so I look at it as it's just getting in the right culture. And then I needed my brain washed. I needed my brain washed of how to think average to thinking on a level that a lot of these other people were thinking of.
And I got that too. I got that by a lot of people. What is it that she's doing? Like, what can't you just go back to normal? But it makes people uncomfortable when you level up. It makes people incredibly uncomfortable. And so instead of looking inward and looking at themselves and saying, how could I better my own life? It's just easier to put you down for the things you've chosen. And so when you remove that layer and you say their opinions have nothing to do with me, it has everything to do with what they're struggling with on the inside, you just begin to understand, and you begin to understand, okay, this is not a healthy environment. And because I do health and fitness, we see that a lot because it's much easier for people to say, why do you have to eat healthier? Why do you have to exercise all the time? Because they don't want to change their behavior. Right. So we put you down. Yeah.
How long was it before you could say you had support from Matt?
It was about 18 months.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So there's another pivotal moment.
I was going to ask that too.
That's not easy.
That's not easy
to go from.
I know it's hard.
Yeah.
18 months of, all right, person that I live with, that I want to spend the rest of my life with, father of my kids. Yep. He's not even a believer, right now. He's not even a supporter, but I'm going to make him a supporter, over time. There's not many people that are going to go through that like you and stick with it and believe, and then all of a sudden win that, trust over time from their spouse. So, that's a question that I get all the time. Like, how do you get your spouse to buy in or support you if, they don't really, support you and stuff like that? You know what I mean? How did you do it? How did you, what were the mental conversations to yourself going on? 18 months is different than 18 hours. I mean,
Correct.
18 hours in an argument with your spouse, that can ruin your whole day. You know what I mean? I mean, that's that's bad. 18 hours. 18 days. That's a long time.
Yeah.
18 weeks. That's a long time. 18 months.
I know.
That takes some real strength to be able to
getting up every day, just making sure you're trying to get it.
How did you do it?
Okay. So I would say the biggest thing is I didn't push the products on Matt. So I didn't say he had to start using Beachbody workouts, or I just sort of did my own thing. I let him watch. But I can remember very early on thinking, all of a sudden I went from watching TV every night and hanging out on the couch with you to being in my computer 24/7. I bet he wonders what I'm doing on here all the time and who I'm talking to, because that's a little odd. Yeah. So I started flipping my computer around.
Show him.
And I started to say, look, I helped this person change their life. Or look, this person on my team just, paid their car payment with their business. So I started to kind of involve him. So that was step number one. And then I remember thinking, okay, he's really good with business and numbers because that was his thing, and spreadsheets, and I am not. Right. So I asked him to build me a spreadsheet of my income progression, which made him have to go into my back office, download my income, look at my numbers, make a projection. So I started to get him involved in ways that were his gifts that maybe, he didn't want to post on social media. He doesn't do any of that, hardly at all. And so I started to incorporate him that way. The next thing I did was reluctantly, I took him to our first big annual conference. And when I say reluctantly, we got on the airplane to Vegas and I said, if you call this a pyramid scheme to people in public, I am sending you home by yourself. Like, you are going back home. I mean, I was really nervous to take him because, it was that bad. Right. And so being there, the first thing we did was we went to the pool. all the team was there, and they knew that he wasn't a supporter. And there were a couple of other husbands whose wives I worked closely with, and they knew. And so they went over, they introduced themselves, and it was like, oh, your wife does this. Oh, my wife does. And so all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay. Conversation. And the other husband was like, you realize your wife is really good at this. Like, she is a rock star. And he started to say, this is where she could be next year if you just like let her go. So again, another little seed was planted, and we would stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning, and I would get up and go to these big group workouts. You know, we would party all night, and he would watch me do this. Like, I was so disciplined. I did not miss a session. I didn't miss a training. I went to every seminar that I could go to at this conference, and he ended up coming into the auditorium and heard the CEO speak. And it was sort of at that moment where he realized, oh, this is a legit business. And a lot of the corporate things that we learn about business are also sort of here in this space. And so that trust was built. My dedication and discipline, the company, being around the other people.
Where do you think that discipline came from? You know, I don't know if you've dug into any Jocko stuff. Jocko Willink, he was the Navy SEAL guy.
Okay.
But he got a couple good books out. He spoke at our last one of these company conventions, and his whole mantras is discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
And so right now, you know, what you've created for yourself is a lot of freedom.
Right.
Through discipline.
Yeah.
Where did that discipline come from? Because you were like, I went to all the workouts, I got up in the morning, I did all that. It's like, how often do you get some of your people that have so much talent and you know they could do it, and you're like,
I know.
I wish I could just zap you with this discipline. Like, if you could just apply this discipline, you could be as good or better.
Right.
Where does that discipline come from?
My upbringing, for sure. My parents. So both my mom and dad were the kind of people that you can have anything you want, but you have to be willing to work for it. That was the message that was drilled into me. They never told me I couldn't do something. I just had to work for it. I believe that by them never letting me quit anything that I committed to. So I decided to play softball one year. Not my thing. No. I was picking daisies in the outfield, but I had to finish the season. If I didn't like everything, dance, choir, everything, all the way up through. So that just became, and I teach my kids that. Yep. I mean, and also when you say yes to something, it's a responsibility. You have to see that through. And so that my parents just very much taught me that's how you get anything you want in life.
Not quitting.
Yeah, not
quitting. Putting into work
and
not quitting. I think
absolutely
more people, you know, I'm a Maxwell fan. So, you know, one time I heard him say, I've never met someone that quit their way to the top.
Yeah.
You ever see an interview and they're like, hey, so Melanie, how did you do it? And they're like, well, I just quit. You know, a lot of times when things got hard, I just said, screw it.
I'm done with it.
We're done with this shit. The people that you see winning, they're people that have these stories of, it was rough, but you continue to go. Right. And it's that commitment of, you know, give it a year. You know, like you were saying, I mentally, I gave it more than that. But I have a couple friends that have had a lot of success in similar business to us. And they've been in a situation where they've said, you know what, I'm going to give this everything I got for a year. And I think even a year is a good, if you can give it an all in, all out year without quitting that season. Yeah. So many people quit during softball season, you know, when they've already committed. So many people quit during the season when it's like, all right, you haven't even given it a year. You don't even know, it's not for me. How often do you hear it's not for me?
All the time.
Right?
All the time.
That's bullshit. It ain't for me. No, you just, you think that it's supposed to be easy. So if it's not easy, then it must not be for me. But I think what people got to realize is all the things that are going to be great in your life, whether it's kids didn't sleep all night, or Matt didn't support me in the beginning, or I'm building this business, or whatever. Anything is going to be that stuff that I got to go through some stuff that's not easy. Yeah. And getting through that type of stuff is not that it's not for you. Yeah. It's that you can push through those moments that most people quit, most people give up. Right. You know what I mean? And that's what I heard from you. So so you won over the support. Yeah. Now you're having a lot of success. We kind of skipped through some stuff, but you know, now you're juggling, you know, the business, mom, wife, all that. Yeah. How important is scheduling, things for
Yeah.
you? Like, or you said, I got a planner in the beginning.
Yeah.
I started getting organized. How
Yep.
important is that stuff?
So I was awful at boundaries at the beginning. I was working 24/7. I did have a to-do list, but I was working a lot. So I will tell you that the moment that I got organized was really the moment that everything changed, because not everything's important. You can't focus on everything all at the same time. You have to prioritize. And so having small kids, having a spouse, having a job, I needed to have a game plan every single week. And so for me, it's my meal planning happens on Sunday. My food prep happens on Sunday. My calendar, everything that my kids have going on, everything that I have going on at that time, everything Matt had going on, went into a master calendar on Google, and everybody was synced, right? My husband and I were synced together.
Everybody has the schedule.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yep.
he has it, you have it.
Yep.
Master calendar. We could see where everybody's going, where everybody's supposed to be.
Right. And on Sundays, we would have this conversation. Okay, these are my evening appointments. This is when I need you to get the kids ready for bed, or you're going to have to cook dinner this night, or I'll be home. So it was just no more of this winging it. We were very planned and scheduled. But also on the left side of my schedule was my goals. So if I knew that week I had a sales goal I needed to hit, or a recruitment goal I needed to hit, I was looking at my calendar saying, what are the activities that need to happen this week to make sure that by Sunday of next week, that goal has happened. So it was no longer just blocking out, this is when I go to work. It was, this is what I'll do for the first 20 minutes. This is what I'll do for the next 30 minutes. And so it was very much I could see. So when I sat down, I didn't just go, who should I talk to today? I already knew. So Sunday planning became essential to my week going the way I wanted it to, and
That's
the
so
outcome.
huge. Not only in that part of the schedule saying work,
Yeah.
but here's the activities that I'm going to do.
Yep.
during
And the
those
time.
times.
And I think the amount of time. So, if you have 8 hours to build your business, you're going to spend all 8 hours. But do you really need all of those 8 hours? I used to race against the clock. I'd say, okay, I think my kids are going to nap for an hour and a half. And it was, how many invites can I get out in that time? And so I remember typing so fast that my elbows would start to hurt. But it was, you only have a limited amount of time. How much can you get done? Can you try to make that more efficient and faster? And so I do think not only did I plan, but I tried to drill that down and get rid of the fluff in between there too. So planning is everything. And then reflecting on it. If you hit your goals, why? If you didn't, why didn't you? And then you refine it for the next week.
People that have been successful in Beachbody, in your opinion, what is there any traits that you think mirror each other? That you're like, a lot of these people, everybody's going to be different. Different color hair, different backgrounds, different states, but these things seem very similar between the people that have success. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Okay, so I would say confidence in self. That belief in myself that I am the right person for the job, and that no matter what, I will figure it out. It's sort of that resilience to failure, that confidence in their self. So I think that's kind of number one. Second thing is they're not afraid to do the dirty work. Like, they're not above doing all of the stuff that actually builds a solid foundation. So getting in your inbox, having lots of conversations, talking to people, getting on the phone. So, and doing a lot of those things, because I think people like to stick to what's fun and pretty. And that really doesn't get results. So I think that's a big one. And then,
come on, talk to me about that for a minute. What do you mean people like to stick to what's fun and pretty?
Yeah.
And that doesn't really always get results.
So I guess in my industry, it is graphics. So making pretty social media posts, right? So because that's one of the things that we do. So that, the fun events, sometimes people they want to go to the fun events, they want to earn them, but they don't want to do the work to get there, So it's the fun stuff. It's the nights out. It's the parties. It's the team calls. Because team calls are great. It's training, it's work, but it's not really what's driving the bottom line. So people that aren't succeeding, they're spending all of their time, they're reading books, but they're not applying it. They're getting on calls, but they're not applying it. They're going to the meetings, but they're not doing anything afterwards, right? So you see those people that are successful, they only pay attention to what they need at that time. They're not distracted by the shiny objects. They're like their head is in their own lane. You've got your blinders on. I don't care what Sally Sue next door is doing. This is my goal. This is my mission. So, and then just also the ability, the top people in the company, they have this ability to not just recruit from a sales point of view, but they have an ability to lead other people. And that's a switch, because you can sell, but leading and teaching that and duplicating that is a totally different skill set. And you really have to learn to kind of balance the two as you're kind of making that transition into leadership. And that's a hard skill to really harness.
How would they start to transition into leadership? Like what qualities, what things do you think they could do to strengthen their leadership abilities and levels and stuff like that to somebody listening?
So I think from day one, you look at yourself as a leader. Oh. So whether you lead one person, one follower, one friend, one family member, you are a leader from day one. You really begin to think about it that way. And John Maxwell has the 21 laws of leadership. And I always recommend that to new people, because you have to start thinking about that right from the beginning, that I am a leader and I have influence no matter what is getting deposited into my bank account or what rank I am in the company. I'm still a leader from the get-go. So you have to work on that. That's a skill. And then once I started to develop a team, I began to understand that everybody has different personality styles. Started reading books about how to mentor people who are different learning styles from myself.
Huge.
And so I started to customize my strategy for those people right from the get-go. So as soon as I realized I had a weakness, I went and found a resource. I didn't wait for somebody to teach it to me. I went out and found it and
huge difference
it.
right there.
Yeah.
That mentality of, instead of waiting for somebody to teach me, I'm going to go out and find the answer. I see I have a weakness. Let me go out and find that answer. Most people wait on it to come to them, or they blame, or they complain, or or whatever, versus taking ownership and saying, all right, I'm weak in this area. Instead of waiting for my manager to teach it to me, or my leader to teach it to me, or saying, no one ever taught me that, or no one ever worked with me on that. I'm going to go out there and find a way to make it happen. I knew you were a big deal when I went to London. Speaking of John Maxwell, at that exclusive event last year, there was like less than London.
Where at though?
What do you mean?
You had a dinner there?
Oh yeah, at that Windsor Palace, Windsor Castle, where the prince and all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nasty. That was one of the dinners, and we got to meet some of the family, the royalty, and all of that stuff. It was a exclusive event. You had to get background checked, and I mean, it was like real deal. Less than 100 people. And one of the people that was there that I took a liking to, energy, vibed well, was Tracy. Tracy Morrow, I believe. And so she was one of the top Beachbody coaches, and I forget how we got onto it. I know where we were at though. We were walking outside this place that had all these jewels, and nobody's supposed to be in there, and we had guards, and it was cold outside. It was cool. We were walking, and we started to talk and all of that, and I told her I was from Pittsburgh, and we were talking. I asked her what she did, and she told me Beachbody, and I'm like, I think my neighbor is supposed to be really good, and up there in Beachbody, and she's like, what's her name? And I'm like, Melanie, but I couldn't answer. I started texting people, and I don't know if it was my wife or Dr. Finn, responded back and was like, told me. I'm like, Melanie Mitro, pointing to her. She's like, oh yeah, she's a beast. She's a stud. I'm like, she literally lives right around the corner, from my house. Cool. And I'm like, all right, we gotta meet this chick. Do you have any things, near and dear to your heart as far as like charities or, anything that's, special, to you of things that you like to help? What would one of those things be?
So my very best friend and my business partner, Katie Ersta, she was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma right after having her second little boy. And we were right in the thick of building our businesses together. And we have done a lot with the LLS because of that. And she actually ran for Women of the Year, and we raised over $70,000. She raised it. I got to be a part of that campaign, and a lot of the things that we do, here in Pittsburgh for the LLS. And she's 5-6 years cancer-free now. So we do a lot. Yeah, LLS for sure.
I wanted to, just for your time, I wanted to make a contribution to something, close to you for the hour, and maybe that's something we can contribute to. But the I'll double it if you can guess what Big Perm's real name is. I'll give you.
Oh my
I'll give you 3
gosh.
guesses.
This has been going on.
3
so
guesses.
let's see.
No one gets it.
No
one gets it.
No.
So don't feel there's no
Don't feel
pressure.
bad. Don't
There's
feel
no
bad.
pressure
3
because no one gets it.
No one
Nobody
gets
gets
it.
it.
No one
We'll
gets
try
it.
it
I
out.
don't think anyone even from home really knows your real
No.
name. So
Not really.
so it's Big Perm.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with his
Real name.
real name. That's not going to be a clue.
Okay.
You can ask for 1 hint. I haven't been given
Yeah,
any
no
clues or
hints.
hints.
Yeah,
You can
no.
ask for 1 hint. Let's give her
One
one
hint.
clue or hint. If she asks
Okay.
for one, you can ask the question.
Okay.
3 guesses.
Oh gosh.
Let's see what
Okay.
you come
Shoot
up
it.
with.
Let's go. Come on, Melanie. You got this one. Come on.
Oh God. Is it Mikey?
No.
Is it Joseph?
Close. No.
Oh, I was
but no
close.
cigar. No, you are getting there.
You're close. If you ask for a hint, if you ask for a
yeah,
hint,
give me a hint.
if you ask for a hint, you might
me a
get it.
hint.
What type of hint? Hispanic.
He's Hispanic.
That's a hint. Come on, Melanie. You got it. I see you got it.
I'm gonna get it wrong.
No shady stuff. I see Perm looking over there. He,
No, no.
Is
He'd give you the
it-
answer and ask
No,
for
I
half the
wouldn't.
money.
I wanna.
No, I
I wanna
wouldn't
say Josiah.
Oh,
That was 3.
you
though.
were the closest.
That was the closest.
She was
3.
the closest
We
so
gave
far.
3. You got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next one.
It's
we can't-
Jose.
It's Jose.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's Jose.
It was close. It was
Jose.
close.
Jose.
Yeah, close.
Jose, Big Perm. That's where we
Yep.
come up with. So Big Perm was off of Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where we got that off
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Big Perm, Big
Yeah.
Worm,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So Melanie, how can people get in touch with you? And listen, I would
Before
recommend
this, how does Matt feel now? I have to know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to know how Matt feels now.
Oh yeah. So Matt actually left his full-time job, and so he's stay-at-home dad, and 100% supports me. He's
All the way.
my biggest cheerleader. Absolutely.
How long have you been doing this for?
9 years.
9 years.
Yep.
18 months, no way. Now 9 years.
Yep.
Good
Here
for
we
you.
are.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
So
We're a
essentially,
great team.
Love it.
he's retired from his corporate job, and
Works
and
for
you
you
guys
now.
kind of team up.
We
and,
do.
and
Love
do
it.
your deal. That's cool. From
it
no
would not.
support to
Right, to working with you now.
support, and
Love
we're
it.
working together
Yeah.
on this thing.
Yeah, and it wouldn't work without him. So now he's my
No
wing.
way.
He's
No
my
way.
wingman.
Yeah.
He cooks. He does all the laundry. He does all the school pickup. But he is like
That's
the.
enough. Cut her off.
Yeah.
You're making me look bad, Giovanni.
Shout out to Matt out there. Good job, buddy.
I know. But we host events together. So when
That's
we do
amazing.
any team retreats, he is hospitality. You know, he is, everybody calls him travel dad. He cooks, make sure everybody has a cocktail, make sure everybody has a great time. He's Mr. Personality. He loves it. He lives for the events and the get togethers. And
Amazing.
that's why he's so excited for dinner, because anytime he can just hang out with people, he just loves people.
Love
So,
it.
yeah.
Love it.
So cool.
She's winning on all levels.
All levels.
You know,
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable to talk about sometimes
Yeah.
when you go through the journey. But I'll tell you, you know, she is not only successful as a wife and a mom and all that, but we're talking millions here in business. This ain't like she made $100,000 in Beachbody and, you know,
No.
kind of able to pay her bills and pay down some debt.
Yeah.
This is someone doing it in her 30s at a
So-
major high level. We're talking millions here. So
Yeah.
I don't recommend often, you know, my team especially, you know, people to say, oh, you should watch this woman or you should
Right.
sign up for her stuff or, you know, any of that stuff. And I recommended it, you know, to not only our women, but just people,
Yeah.
you know, in our business, because I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always trying to pick her brain and absorb stuff and all
Yeah.
of that stuff. So how could someone follow you? Because if you guys think I'm decent on social media, she blows me away. I tell you that all the time. You
Yeah,
just,
he does, yeah.
I cheat. I look at her stuff and I'm like, it's pretty fire. I'm gonna just switch it up a little bit and try to make some of that my own. I'm learning from you. So
I want to see your
social
dance
media-
moves on Reels. That's your
Oh, no.
that's your homework
No,
assignment.
I passed that
no.
off to Perm.
He said, oh, no.
I passed that off to Perm.
Yep.
But maybe. So
Maybe,
So we.
yeah.
Where do they find you? How can they find you? You have.
Yeah.
Tell them about some of the mentorship stuff
Sure.
that you do and the consulting and all
Yep.
that.
I'm most active on Instagram. So Instagram, it's just Melanie Mitro. You can follow my business, which is Chic Influencer. That's on Instagram as well. You can find all of the things that we do at chicinfluencer.com.
How do you spell that? Because you know, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
Yeah.
I had to tell my friend today.
It's
You know,
not
you got
chick.
your master's degree,
Yeah.
right? So my friend Vasu, he posted something, and I said, I said, praise the Lord for AIO. I said, because I don't even, two of these words you put up here, I don't even know. I had to Google what they meant. So chic, a lot of people, if they're like me, they might not be able to spell chic.
Right.
They may think it's SHEEK.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and
saying?
we get chick influencer.
Chick
a lot.
influencer.
Yes, we do. CHIC.
Oh,
CHIC. I know we get chick from all the guys.
And
Call
what
us
do you
chick.
do there?
All right. So we do business consultation. So we've really been helping people that have a business idea launch
Don't
it.
you have a podcast?
I do.
Sweet podcast?
I do. I have.
She never invited me on.
I have. I will get you on there. Really?
I'm teasing.
Are you sure you're not on my podcast? Oh, you spoke on my team.
On the team, yeah.
To my team. That's right.
That was our first date.
Put that
She wanted
in
to try me
rotation.
out. So let me see what you do with this small group of women
Yep.
over here.
Yep.
And then we'll see.
So my podcast is Women Inspiring Women. So we can.
That explains
that
it.
explains it right there. Women inspire.
But I have a second one. It's Make Chic Happen.
Okay.
So I do that with my
We
business
can make
partner.
shit happen for
There
sure.
you go.
We can make shit happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we do
sure.
that. But we do business consults. So we help people with their growing, their scaling a lot through social media. That's really our thing. So business plan, how to get your business idea out there through social, Facebook, Instagram, blogging, LinkedIn. We do small group mentorships. So we actually do like an 8-week how to grow, scale, your business. And we have a community where we help people with social media and strategy and marketing. So
I mean, everything from like $30
Yeah.
a month to, thousands of dollars a month,
absolutely.
depending
Yep.
on
Yeah, we
what
do
you're looking
one-on-one, small group, large group. We really kind of tailor and customize it. And we just opened up another part of our business, which is media management, where we're actually managing small businesses, social media for them. Since that's really that's our sweet spot, and that's what we love doing. And that's really, for me, I built my business entirely off of social media. My entire network marketing business was Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, and my podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you could teach that.
Yeah, that's what and I've taught my downline to do that. And now I get to teach other business owners to do it too.
How many people you got following you on Instagram right now?
93,000.
That's a
Love
lot.
it.
Yeah.
Almost 100,000.
I'm getting there.
You got to throw a party at 100,000.
It's like
100,000, that's a big one.
It's slowly
And then we'll go
inching
past
there.
that.
Yes.
But 100,000, that got to be a big
Big part.
Yeah,
a big win for you.
It is. It is
know?
every milestone. Yeah,
I got the little junior varsity award. I remember when we passed 10,000, I was all excited. 100,000
Yeah.
over here. So, but the podcast,
Yeah.
one more time, what are the two podcasts that they could find?
Sure. It's Women Inspiring Women,
Women Inspiring Women.
and then Make Chic Happen.
Make Chic Happen.
Yep,
CHIC.
you got it.
Not SHEEK. Happen. Okay. All right. Melanie, I just want to thank you for coming on the Grindcast and sharing your story and inspiring some of the people out here. And may God continue to bless you on your journey of inspiring and helping other people. And I'm so glad that you stuck with it and didn't quit and didn't tap during the midst of adversity in the beginning. So keep it up. Keep making chic happen. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Grindcast. Get ready. It's a new day.
Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.